So which players through 6 weeks of the 2023 fantasy football season have been the biggest busts so far? This is the Fantasy Sports Bust. This is the all bust team through 6 weeks of the season, like I said earlier. And these players, and I've tried to stay away. Let me just throw this in there. The caveat being that guys who suffered injuries, that does qualify as a bust, but I'm avoiding those kind of players. I'm really basing this more on performance. So guys that have been out there pretty much every week of these first 6 weeks, but who have also underperformed. So now there's a couple of guys that have some physical ailments, but they're also playing through it that I've added to this list. But mostly these guys are just underperforming, period. Now, starting with the quarterbacks, right now, Trevor Lawrence right now is QB 15. So Trevor Lawrence to me goes down as a decent bust. Like, I had him as a top 7, top 8 quarterback this season. He's been under 20 points generally almost every game this season, which is not what you expect from an offense that has Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Evan Engram, Zay Jones when he's been on the field, Travis Etienne out of the backfield. So there's a lot of weapons. He's got the right coach in Doug Peterson, who's got a really shrewd offensive mind. But the numbers just haven't been there. Now he's banged up with a knee injury. Don't know if he's going to play Thursday, but Lawrence has been a disappointment. Also, Dak Prescott, quarterback 19. Now, I was not a Prescott fan coming in, but he was generally in that 12-13 range in the rankings. Even with last night, he is quarterback 19, has lost a lot of athleticism, decision-making not great. The offense being put together by Mike McCarthy is not impressive either. Dak Prescott has been a bust. And then Joe Burrow, QB 21. Now, he has battled the calf injury, no doubt about it, but he also really hasn't been that good either. So he's starting to come out of it a little bit, but he's got a lot of ground to make up on the season. Certainly for the QB4 that was drafted this season, it has been a disappointing start to say the least. Now, as far as the running backs are concerned, so Alexander Mattison, running back 17. So anybody who decided to go value at running back, he was one of the popular targets, right? Right along with James Conner and David Montgomery and Rachaad White. While Montgomery and Conner on a per game basis have been really good, Alexander Mattison, who's been out there every week, has not been good. Like, he's catching passes out of the backfield. I don't even think he has a rushing touchdown. And now he's gaining heat from Cam Akers, who was brought in. So not a good season so far for Alexander Mattison. Joe Mixon, running back 19. Listen, this one was obvious, all right? He's an aging back, 27 and a half. The signs were there last year. He dipped under 4 yards per carry. So everything was there to show you that he should not have been invested in. Workload be damned, right? And he hasn't been good this season. And he's as uninspiring a player as you can get at the running back position. Ramondre Stevenson, this one's a shocker. Running back 21. First of all, nobody even thought Ezekiel Elliott would play as much as he has. But even without that, this entire offense, including Stevenson, has been ground to a halt. Mac Jones is completely horrible. Not all of Stevenson's fault. He's facing a lot of loaded boxes because nobody respects the pass in New England. But Stevenson really hasn't been that good either. Now, he did play well week 6. He had a mid-teens game in the PPR league, which was good. But we've always expected more out of him from the get-go. And Dameon Pierce, running back 27. And he might be ceding a lot of carries going forward to Devin Singletary. Singletary's been the better player. Pierce has been absolutely horrendous, erasing all the good memories of last season, his rookie debut. Offensive line is in shambles, no doubt about it. But again, Singletary has looked better behind that same offensive line. Not a good season by Pierce. All right, wide receiver. So Chris Olave is wide receiver 21 right now, guys. Derek Carr is not playing well. It has not worked. There was a hot start the first couple of weeks, but things have really tailed off. Weeks 3, 4, and 5. Yesterday was, week 6 was better, but Olave at wide receiver 21, we expected more. Calvin Ridley, this one hurts me. He's wide receiver 25. I was as big on him as anybody after week 1. I looked like I nailed that pick. He's been anything but good since. He's had 3 good games, 3 bad games, massive inconsistency, and it looks like the spreading around of the ball is going to make, Ridley, Kirk, Engram trade the mantle of being the top target each week, which is frustrating. Devontae Smith is wide receiver 28 on the Philadelphia Eagles. So we know A.J. Brown has gone nuclear of late, but Devontae Smith is not playing well. He had a horrible drop against the Jets that he probably could have taken in for a touchdown. He's still getting open, but he's dropping a lot of passes, and it just hasn't been there. The consistency hasn't been there. The offense in general hasn't looked great, but A.J. Brown has gone nuts. So there's only so much that we could take away from Smith's struggles. DK Metcalf, wide receiver 36. Wow, this offense. Geno Smith is struggling. Tyler Lockett, who's wide receiver 43, lump him in there too. Both of these guys have been very disappointing. I hate to say it. I was a fan of both. all the good they did last year with Geno Smith is now being erased this year. It has been a massive struggle for the Seahawks offense. Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 37. Despite all of the points and yards in Miami, Waddle has not been in on the fun. Last 2 weeks, though, he has scored in each of the games, and he's perked up a bit, but Tyreek Hill is far and away the top target. And then Chris Godwin, wide receiver 42. Now, granted, his price wasn't very, pricey during the summer's draft class, I should say. But wide receiver 42, we expected a little bit better from a guy, in the slot with Baker Mayfield, who likes to throw short. Hasn't really been there. Tight ends, Darren Waller, tight end 11. We expected top 5 numbers. Especially the Giants, they played very well last year. They won a playoff game. Brian Dable, offensive genius. It has not worked. He has not scored. He's banged up with a groin injury. It has been pathetic how bad this offense has been. It's taken Darren Waller down with it. Kyle Pitts, tight end 12. Jonnu Smith has actually been more effective from a fantasy perspective, which is crazy. Pitts has, and like a lot of these guys on this list, he's been better lately. The last 2 weeks have been good, but I do not trust this offense one bit. And finally, Pat Freiermuth has missed time with injury. But even when he was on the field, he was not playing well. He's tight end 34. I thought he was a really good value, top 12 guy. It's just been nothing but struggles this season. All right, guys, hit that subscribe button. Live stream later on this evening for Waiver Wire Tuesday. Stay tuned.